quiet quitting. Can't you tell when employees are about to quit or want to quit? What do employees do when they start getting ready to quit? They call off, don't they? Don't you see those employees that call off all the time or that are super late and they really don't give a care? And they're doing, when they get to work, they do the bare minimum. People that seem like they want to quit, that are quietly quitting and about to leave, and if they aren't going to leave on their own, they might end up getting fired because they're doing the bare minimum. I think at this point, they really don't give a care. What they're doing is they're coming in late. They're doing the bare minimum. They're pushing work for the next shift to do if there's multiple shifts, or they're pushing the work for the next day. Don't you have those employees that call off and you're wondering, how many days do you have of time? Then you've called off so many days. You call off every pay period. How much time do you have without getting fired? Because, during when you're calling off, you have all these different, these different stages before they terminate you. And then it just seems like some people have been doing what they're doing for over a year. And you're like, you should be gone by now, is what you're thinking. But when people are ready to quit, they've had enough. And a lot of them are ready to quit because possibly it's the management, or possibly it's something happening at home which is depressing them. So when they come to work, they bring that same energy to work. And so the work is not satisfying because they're constantly thinking about the stuff that's going on at home. And that's another thing too. Maybe the work isn't satisfying. Maybe they're in the wrong, profession. Maybe they need to change it up a bit and do something different, because that can burn a person out. And at that point, they're quietly quitting. Not to say that they're purposely wanting to quit or that they're purposely trying to, be late or not coming in. But a lot of times, too, it could be due to depression or due to being burnt out, like I said before. And a lot of times when you're burnt out, you just don't produce. You just don't do what you need to do. So do you have any of those workers at your place? Do you see somebody that seems like they just really don't care right at this moment? Also, they have an excuse for every time they do something wrong or incorrect, or every time they make a mistake. Or they're that person you can't talk to. You can't explain to do a different project or another project because they're talking about how busy they are and how much other work they have to finish and do every day before they can take on something else. And what it is, they're stuck in that same work mode, in that minimum work mode. And that's why they can't take on any task. Mentally, they're not there. And they're not going to physically be there because they're trying to do everything but work. They're saying they're so busy, but then say every hour, every half hour, you go in the hallway, go into the washroom, and you catch them on the phone. And they're just like scrolling on the phone, social media, laughing at something, and you catch them. Not talking to anyone, not checking up on anything important, but just occupying time out elsewhere instead of where they should be working. So those employees that are quietly quitting, you can tell who they are. You can tell who is about to go out the door. You can tell because they're the ones who are always being looked at. They're the ones, who's making mistakes. They're the ones who's calling off. They're the ones who are aggressively getting into altercations with other employees, who's ending up in HR all the time. Don't you have an employee like that? Those are problematic employees, or at least they become problematic. At first, yeah, they were good workers. They wanted to do the job. They wanted to learn. But now the excuse is that everything is against them, or everything is, not done properly to sustain a good work environment for them. They're complaining about management. They're complaining about other employees, and what's the problem is them. The problem is they're bringing their baggage to work, and it comes in a different form. These people are people who maybe they don't have a life. Their only life is at home. Maybe they don't have children. They don't have pets. They live alone. Some of them are antisocial. Some of them really don't like to socialize at all, but they'll be on that phone. They'll socialize on that phone. Yeah, they'll look at social media. They'll participate in social media, but they don't participate in regular, workers type situations. These are the people, when they communicate, it's always aggressive, or it's always, they're not listening, they're not comprehending, or they may even mistake what you're saying or what you're meaning. They just turn it all into some other subject. Then again, they're letting something off their chest because maybe they had something prior before against you, or something you said to maybe tick them off before, and they just haven't had a chance to rebuttal or come back at you about something. So as soon as they get the chance, they just, come out of nowhere with something, just because you're just asking a question, and what their answer has nothing to do with what you asked them or what you're even talking about. There's those are the coworkers that usually be on their way out the door. Yeah, I mean, in some jobs, I can say in some jobs, there are even physical altercations. And it's unfortunate. I mean, come on, you got a bunch of grown folks and you're fighting, So I just wanted to get on here and just ask that question about, do you know someone who seems like they're quietly quitting? They're quietly quitting that job that you're working at. Or have you noticed? I don't think you noticed. But like and subscribe if you noticed.